Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we've got a brand new puzzle to have a go at today by Marty Sears. I mean, it's like Christmas. Whenever you get to do a Marty Sears puzzle, which is quite often on the channel because the man is a setting genius, um, it's always, you always start the puzzle knowing you're just going to be royally entertained for the next however long it takes. And this puzzle Marty made, I think, as a present to Dorlia, the maths professor, for his birthday recently. So if we go over here, you can just go down a bit. We can find all of the comments. Basically, people saying this is phenomenal, phenomenal, great, beautiful, tricky, cool, a worthy sequel, says Fool on Hill. It's a sequel. I didn't know it was a sequel. For Dorlia's birthday, I've made a sequel to our collaboration, Galaxies Collide. I probably did the original, I just don't remember. Anyway, this is what we're going to have a go at today. It's some sort of yin-yang hybrid. I did read the rules before I turned on the webcam. And yeah, we'll get stuck into this and in a moment or two's time. What can I tell you about before that? Well, first things first, we are streaming tonight. We're going to be back playing the game Lorelei and the Laser Eyes at 10 p.m. Love to have your company. I will try and remember to put a link on the screen. Next, oh yes, there's a bonus video today on the main channel as well. Mark solves a Jane Street puzzle. Jane Street, about once every month or two, come up with a special puzzle for us, and this is a new one. And you can play the puzzle yourselves. So I tested it and I really liked it. So do have a look and do have a go at that. I'll try and remember to put a link to that on the screen too. Birthdays. Let me look at my list of birthdays. Annabelle. Annabelle, you've turned 31 today, and I know this because your sister Rachel wrote to me and told me that the day to celebrate, you're planning karaoke and a festival of snacks from Marks and Spencer's. That's great. That's so British. Well, it's sort of a hybrid of Japanese culture and British culture. And I approve of it. Now, some of you sometimes ask me what I would sing if I did karaoke. And what I have to admit to is that really I should be allowed nowhere near karaoke. It's not a good thing. But when I do go near karaoke, when I'm forced to, which is only very, very occasionally, yeah, House of the Rising Sun. I might attempt that. Anyway, Annabelle, happy birthday. I hope there's some chocolate cake amongst the snacks. Next, it's not a birthday, but it's well wishes for Erin. Now, if you watch over on Patreon, we run a monthly competition, and if you win the competition, you're invited onto the channel to come and solve a puzzle. And Erin won one of those first competitions and came onto the channel and whip smart, just as clever as they come. And Erin is running for a seat on her local school board. I think it's the election tomorrow. So Erin, of course, I wish you all the best with that. All I will say is if they need clever people on their school board, you should be a shoo-in. So let us know how it goes. And then Rakesh, you've turned 27. It's your birthday today. You got addicted to the channel and all of these wonderful puzzles and found it stopped you watching the reel. You know, Facebook reel or Instagram reel. Well, watching Cracking the Cryptic stopped the reeling, and you think that's a good thing, and I too think it's a good thing. I do worry about attention spans and how we're all sort of getting used to this instant gratification, move on, whether we're all just part of a social experiment that might go wrong at some point. Sorry, I'm just going to move my microphone. But I'm delighted, Rakesh, if you find the channel is good for you in that way, and I hope you have a great birthday with chocolate cake, of course. And that's all the news. Let me just check the recording as well. The puzzles are slightly weird size today, isn't it? It looks like my bit of the screen is always the same size, but it almost seems like it's overlapping the edge of the grid. So forgive me for that. But let's have a look at the rules of Galaxies Collide again. So that's why it's a sequel. By Marty Sears. What do we have to do if we're going to solve this correctly? We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So we're going to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. Then we're going to divide the grid into 2 galaxies of orthogonally connected cells. No 2 by 2 area may be completely within one galaxy, and both galaxies must be symmetrical through 180 degrees. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm going to do this in 2 sections. So let's deal with the first part of this rule, which says that we have to divide the grid into 2 areas, each consisting of orthogonally connected cells. Now, the way I typically would illustrate that is with this E sign. Maverick's just taken off, by the way, so we're about to get a little buzz past from a small aeroplane. I can do little about it. So that would meet the first criteria. You can see the grid's been divided into 2 areas. One is purple, one is green, and the purples are orthogonally connected to each other. If we introduce this cell into purple, it wouldn't now work because this purple cell doesn't touch the rest of its purple friends along an edge. It just touches them at a vertex. That's not sufficient to make this orthogonally connected. And then also, if we look at this grid, no 2 by 2 is completely one colour. Every 2 by 2 has both colours in it. Now, the rinky-dink with Marty's puzzle today is that when we construct a galaxy, when we construct one of these areas, it has to be rotationally symmetric through 180 degrees. So if we imagine that imagine the grid was a piece of cardboard, and we poked a pin through the very centre of row 5, column 5, and then we twisted the grid 180 degrees, so a half turn, then what we're saying is that the area should map to itself. So say that was an area. That would work, wouldn't it? Because if you twist this area 180 degrees, you'd end up with exactly the same pattern. It would map to itself. So that is what we're gonna have to make sure we obey that rule as well. There's more rules. Not many more, but there are more. A digit in a green circle indicates how many cells in its Sudoku box are in its galaxy. So if this was, I don't know, 6, that would be saying that 6 of let's give it a colour. It would be saying that 6 of those cells are purple. Now, a digit in a red square indicates how many cells in its Sudoku box are not in its galaxy. So if that was a 6 and this was purple, there would be 6 cells in this box that are the other colour. So if we said that was green, that wouldn't be right, but we could do something like that. That would be legitimate, I think. And then there's only one more rule. One of the 2 galaxies is special. In that galaxy, for any 2 orthogonally adjacent cells, dividing one digit by the other always gives an exact integer. Brackets, one is a multiple of the other. So if these were all in the special galaxy, and that was a 2, then it could be a lot of things, actually. It could be 1, because 1 divides into 2 exactly. It could be 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. It could be 6. 2 times 3 is 6. It could be 8. 2 times 4 is 8. So it could be a whole wealth of things. It couldn't be 5, could it? Because you can't multiply one of these numbers by anything and get the other. Or certainly not by an integer. We have to have an exact integer relationship. And we can't times one of them by 2.5 and get the answer. So that is a strange rule. It's a rule I've seen before. I think Marty thinks of numbers in a very natural way. So I think Marty is very good with this sort of constraint, as he is with most sorts of constraints. Anyway, let me just double check. Yeah, they're all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I have a feeling I am going to be able to start this puzzle with somewhat more alacrity than I sometimes can. I just want to talk about this, the start rule though, which is this yin-yang rule. So what we can't have in a yin-yang puzzle is a 2x2 that has this sort of that sort of shading, because of the requirement to connect the greens together. If we connect these greens together, we can do it in a variety of ways, but the purples then won't work. We can't now connect the purples together. So we're going to break the rule if we have this sort of checkerboarding in any 2x2. Now, what that typically allows me to do is to talk about the perimeter of a yin-yang puzzle and explain that you can view that a bit like an exploded checkerboard. So in a yin-yang puzzle, you could have one single colour in the perimeter. That would be okay. You could introduce a second colour into the perimeter. That would be okay. But it would not be okay to go again. If you introduce another change of colour in the perimeter, now it operates, the whole grid operates a bit like a checkerboard in a 2x2, because we have to attach this purple to its purple friends, and it doesn't matter how complicated we make that route. We will separate this green from this green. There will be a wall of purple dividing the grid. So, in ordinary yin-yang, we can say that we could have either the perimeter as one colour or the perimeter as two colours with two contiguous sections, but no more than that. But in this puzzle, we've got this requirement that we've got 180-degree symmetry. So let's just pick two cells on the perimeter. Let's pick that one and make it green. What does that mean? If the green area is 180 degrees symmetrical, it means this cell's green, doesn't it? And can you see what happens now? If we now, we're going to have to colour these cells something, and they are going to be the same colour. And now let's ask the question, can any cell in the perimeter now be purple? Any cell? And the answer is no. Because any cell that we picked, let's pick this one, that's going to mean that that cell is also purple. And now look what's happened. If we consider the perimeter as a whole, how many times does it change colour? Too many times. Or to put it a different way, we clearly have to connect these purples together, and however we do it, those greens will be unconnectable. So in this puzzle, because of its rule set, we can make the whole of the perimeter has to be one colour. And I did a puzzle. Now I've got to choose now, purple or green. Maybe purple. Oh, that's rather beautiful. Yeah, and then we can't have 2x2s, so we'll make those green. Now, I did a puzzle recently. It was by Cactuslav that had this sort of rule in it. And I remember there was also a problem in where you have this symmetry with the middle cell. I think we're going to be able to do something with that. I think the middle cell probably has to be green. But let's think about why that might be the case. If it wasn't, if it was purple, yeah, you can see it. Imagine it was purple. And by the way, in that Cactuslav video, that deduction there, I haven't explained the deduction, but getting to the point where I realised this was purple took me a long time. But now, because I've thought about it recently, it's not going to be quite so bad. But this purple, if this was purple, how would it work? And the answer is we don't know, but it clearly we have to attach the purple to the purple wall around the perimeter. And however we do that, let's do it in a slightly complicated way. What's going to happen is that you're going to get a wall of purple going across the grid, aren't you? It doesn't matter what shape you pick. In getting this purple to the perimeter, there will be a wall across the perimeter. And then you are going to isolate greens from one another, because the grid can't be all one colour. Every 2 by 2 in the grid has to contain some green. So it doesn't, we might be able to construct a wall that at first blush looks like it might work. We might be able to come up here and, I don't know, do that. But you can see as soon as we come down here and isolate this, these two are not going to be connected. It's going to be impossible. So we can also, I think, say that that is green. And that the requirement for this one is just going to be that it attaches to those 4. So it's almost like there's an interior puzzle now and an exterior puzzle. But I mean, I think it's sometimes I really like the fact that experience gives you an advantage when you solve a puzzle. Now, hang on, let's go back to the rules. So what? Oh, this one's in a circle. So that one, that indicates how many cells in its box are in its galaxy. So, but wherever we go, if we went there, then that one would be in, wouldn't it? So, right. So this is an odd digit in this cell, because what we're doing is counting the greens in this box. But they're always going to pair off. Apart from this particular middle cell, if I made that one green, that will be green. If I made this one green, that will be green. So they're always going to operate in pairs after this one. So we're going to be adding an even number of greens to this cell. And so that is a green. And then we might have those 2, or those 2, or those 4, or some more complicated variation. But this is therefore going to be odd. And it can't be 1. Or 9 actually. It can't be 9, because then that whole box is green and we break the 2 by 2 rule, and it can't be 1 because then all of those would be purple and the greens wouldn't connect. So it is 3, 5, or 7. Now we've got other circles. So this is at least a 5, and it can't be more than 7. Because this green has to get out of the box. So it's going to have to go there, or both. Actually, 5 won't work, will it? Sorry, that's obvious, but I didn't appreciate it. If that was a 5, we'd be saying that the only purples in the box are the 5 that we've already put in, and then these 4 would all be green, and that would make a 2 by 2. So that doesn't work. So actually, that's really restricted. And that must be the same there. That logic cannot be different, because we're simply looking at the box and saying we've sort of got, we've got loads of these V pentominoes. That one, that one, that one, where we can't have all 4 of the sort of other cells all being the same colour. What about this one? So that is well, it's not. Actually, it could be a 4. I was about to say it can't be a 4. I mean, it's obviously at least a 3. It can't be 3 because all of those would be green, and that would break the 2 by 2 rule. But what if that was purple and all of those were green? Oh, what does that do to that one? Ah, that's weird. That's the sort of thing that Marty will find funny, that I can't just see that. If this one is green, the way that the maths works is that those are the same digit, I think. Let's just make that green because it's funny. If this is green, it's counting the number of purples in the box. But so is this. So they would be the same digit. So that is purple, and therefore, hang on, that is purple by the symmetry, by the twisty rule. But actually all of those could be green, couldn't they? So it hasn't changed the conclusion that this could be a very low digit. That one we don't know about. That one we do know about, because that should be counting the greens in the box. So these 2 digits, there are 9 cells in a Sudoku box, so those 2 digits have to add to 9. So that's a 2 or a 3. I don't know what that one is. Whatever. It's something to do with the symmetry, isn't it, between these 2 boxes, whatever that looks like in the end. Oh, is it? It's the same point. This is cleverer, but I haven't understood it yet. There's some relationship between these. I've got to make this a colour so that these don't contain the same number. And the way I'm getting to that is that whatever the overall shading is in this box, it will be exactly mirrored there, because that's the 180-degree symmetrical counterpart to this. So if... I don't think that's going to be green, but let's just think that through. If that's green, it's counting how many greens are in this box. So let's say that's going to be 5. Well, then there's going to be 5 greens in this box. And that will also be a 5, because that is going to count the number of greens. Yeah. So yes, okay. So that's counting the number of greens in this box. So this must not be counting the number of greens in this box. That's a simple way to see it. So that is purple, which means this is purple. And okay, so those 2 add up to 9. Is that what we're learning there? Maybe. Oh, hang on, I've just spotted something else. Those 2 and those 2 have to be green to avoid 2x2s. So these are at least 5. No, careful. This one is at least a 5. So it's 5, 6, or 7. So this is 2, 3, or 4. And if that's 2, 3, or 4, so that those 2 digits are the same, aren't they? Sorry, that's totally obvious. Because the shading in this is the same as the shading in this, or will be once we've finished it. Yeah, okay, so these 2 also have a relationship. These 2 have a relationship because they are the same colour. What do I mean by that? Well, whatever shading this is, I've got no idea what it's going to be. But if it was purple, its 180-degree counterpart, which is this cell, would also be purple. So together, those are counting the shading in these boxes. And they're the same colour. So if this was purple, it's going to be saying how many purples are there in this box, which is saying the same thing as how many purples are in this box. And this is counting how many greens are in this box. And the 2 together must add up to 9. So those add up to 9. And these add up to 9. This is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. But I haven't used, there's a rule in here. I've got to learn one of these colours. One of these colours, if it was this one, if purple was the special colour, if purple was the special galaxy, this digit, the thing is, it could be 1, couldn't it? It could all, whatever digit, or whatever galaxy. No, right. Sorry. I've just seen something completely obvious. I know which the special galaxy is, and I think I should have known it from the start of the puzzle. It's definitely not the purple galaxy, because the purple galaxy has prime numbers in it with no multiples, 5s and 7s. So where would we put? Imagine right. I'm not explaining this very well, but I will try now. Imagine the purple galaxy was the special galaxy, and every orthogonal neighbour had to be in a multiple relationship with its partner. Now, where would you put 5 and 7 in the top row then? Let's try and put 5 there. What would these two digits be? Well, 5 is prime. So multiples of 5 are 10, 15. They aren't Sudoku digits. And the only digit that you could put in the relationship with 5 that would meet the criteria is 1. And I can't put 1 on both sides. And even, actually, if you put 5 in the corner, that won't work because it's got two neighbours. So you'd have to put 1s in both corners and that would break. So, and that logic is analogous with 7. It's exactly the same. So purple, oh, see, that's annoying because that would have given, if purple had been the special one, we could have got those two digits. But I just don't think purple is. I think green is. So green, about which I know much less, although I do know that one. Green has to be in the special. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, that's lovely. That's my favourite bit so far. Right, I know what that middle digit is. I'm not going to get a 3 in the corner, but I am going to get a 3 in the middle. Because the point is that this green cell can't just be isolated in a pond of purple. A pond of purple would be pathetic. No. What's that thing that we always used to get told when I used to work for a living? Not that this isn't work, but it's extremely enjoyable work. It was the 7 Ps or something. Proper preparation prevents, rude word, poor performance. Anyway, let's go back to this. Got distracted. Yeah, so this has to grow, and wherever it grows, it will grow symmetrically. So imagine this was green. Well, then by symmetry, this will be green, and we get 2 greens here. So let's imagine that this was 5 or 7. The only digits that could border 5 and 7 in green is the digit 1. It's the only one that will work. It's what we've just looked at here. So if I do make this 5, the moment I grow it, it will be surrounded by double 1 and break Sudoku rules. Isn't that lovely? So this has to be 3, and 3 is much more. I mean, 3 could be next to 1, but it's got lots of other possibilities. 6, 9, 6, 9, and 1. Oh, no, this is beautiful logic. Good grief, Marty. Right, I know exactly how this one grows. Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? Well, our green is going to grow vertically, because if it went horizontally, which is one possibility, that's the 3 greens in the box. So we'd have to surround them with purple, and the green would be in a slightly different shaped pond of purple. So what we're going to do is we're going to grow the green vertically, purplify the other cells. This green has to get to its friends, so we're going to grow it more. These cells now are green to avoid 2x2s, so those are green to avoid 2x2s as well. Now, do we grow into this one or not? We said they added up to 9, didn't we? And one of them was counting purples. This is so, honestly, it's just deduction after deduction that are sort of absolutely memorable. Right, these 2 cells are where we're going to look now. I actually don't know what colour they are, but I do know what digits they are. I think they have to be a 4-5 pair. And the way I'm getting to that is that I know they're the same colour. Let's just make them indigo for a moment. They're either both green or they're both purple. and they add up to 9. Now, in theory, therefore, you might say, oh, they could have been 1/8, Simon. Well, they can't, could they? Because one of them is counting the purples in its box. I don't know which one it is, but one of them is. And that purple is at least 3. So the two possible ways that would work to add up to 9 are therefore, given that one of the digits is at least a 3, it's going to be 3, 6. Oh, hang on. Hang on, I might have missed something here. What about... Maybe I might have missed something. Hang on, let me just think about that. If... No, I think it's true. It is, I think it's true, but it's less clear than I was anticipating it being. Because now I'm thinking, okay. Well, no, it is... Well, now I've confused myself. So in one instance... But why couldn't it be, say, 7-2 if there's an absolute preponderance of purples? I don't think it can be. Because the greens would get cut off. Maybe that's... Okay, so I have to change my argument here. Because my argument was flawed before. But it's still true. The greens can't stop in this position. The green has to get out of here. Because it's got, in fact, that's a really interesting point. That green's got to get out of there as well. But the green has to get, in fact, yeah, this is nice. The green has to go east and west. Go west, my son. Look, because if it didn't cross this boundary, if the greens just stayed over here, this would be isolated. So the green has to take one of those, and it has to take one of those. And now I can make my argument. Because now there's at least 3 greens in this box and at least 3 purples, which means that these digits can't be 2, 7 or 1, 8. Because the minimum digits on both sides of the equation has to be at least 3. So the way these are adding up to 9 is they're either 3, 6 or 4, 5, and they can't be 3, 6 anymore. So they are 4, 5. Now... What does that... Is it something to do with how... If that's a... No. Right, let's start here. That is not a 2. But because all over the board, or all over the grid, we've got this issue now with these dominoes. Let me just highlight them in orange for a moment. These orange thingies have to get to the sort of central spine of green somehow. They're all faced with that problem. Now, if this was a 2, this green, well, if it went there, those 2 would be purple and this domino would just be penned in. And if instead this got out by taking that one, these 2 would be purple and this 4-cell green area would be penned in. So that's a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. So this is a 6. So this isn't a 6. Oh, hang on. Hang on, look, we can just count this. This is a 5. It's just, sorry, I hadn't seen this, but that's a 4. So this is a 5. Do I know what that one is? Or this one? Oh, I do know what that one is. Because that one, that's the symmetrical counterpart to that one. So whatever the shading is there overall, it's going to be mimicked there. So this cell, which is on the perimeter, is the same colour as that. So that's a 6. The slightly weird thing about this is that this solves from here. I'm not terribly worried about the, eventually whittling away at and getting the shading, but I am very surprised. I'm very surprised that it will disambiguate Am I not understanding this? So I've done these puzzles with these multiplying puzzles with Marty before. There's sort of, the way I think about it is that you get these families of digits like 1, 2, 4, and 8. They're all sort of multipliers of each other. 3, 6, and 9 can be multipliers of each other, although 6 and 9 can't go together because they aren't in a multiplying relationship. But they're sort of families. Then 5 and 7 sort of live on their own. And we've got an I pentomino in the middle column. So I should think about these digits, shouldn't I? So these have to be in a multiplying relationship with 3. So they could be 1, they could be 6, they could be 9. And then okay, so these can't be 1 and 9, because then the 9 couldn't go to another number, because 9 can only go with 3 and 1. So imagine this was 9 and this was 1. What could we put here? Nothing. There's no Sudoku digit that's in a multiplying relationship. 3 and 1 are, but they've been used up. So actually one of those is definitely a 6. Right. Okay. I don't know how to pencil mark this, but one of those is now a 2. And that's a bit of a strain. Let me show you why that is. So if this is a 6, this one is either 1 or 9. Now, if it's a 1, obviously this digit can't be a 1. But if it's a 9, that has to be a 1 as the only other partner that will go with 9. So if this is a 6, one of these digits is a 1. I don't know which one, but one of them is. And that's going to make this have to be, can't be 3, it's going to have to be 2. So one of those is a 2. I don't really like that pencil mark. Wow. I don't know. It's very difficult to see how we're going to actually propagate anything here. Oh, it's not Sudoku, is it? Can I do... Oh, I tell you what. I can do the same logic here. This simply can't be 7. For exactly the same reason this couldn't. It's the same geometry here, that getting this domino out won't work. If this is 7, I've only got 2 greens in this box. And if they go up, that's isolated by a pool of purple. If they go that way, it's isolated by a different pool of purple. So that is also 6. So we've got a 6 in one of those, a 6 in one of those. This is, okay, that's cool. Where's 6 in row 5 now? Look at this pencil mark and this pencil mark. They're telling us 6 are not in those cells. So 6 is placed. So 6 is in one of these two. Now, if this was a 6, I don't know what colour it is. So those are obviously the same colour. If it's green, that would be purple. That would be green. So we get a green like that. If it's purple, that would be green, and that would be green. And that would be green. Don't know. Gosh. Somehow this has got... There must be something pretty profound we can do in this position to get this ball rolling. What have I not used? Sorry, what have I not used here? I have used... no, I mean, 5s would be super interesting if they were in the green section. What on earth? all of the corners have the same property. They all have three greens in these 2x2s and one purple. Oh, I see. Yeah, so these can't both be... Yeah, so I've got to put 3 greens in this box. So I can't make both of those green, because that's going to make a 2x2. So that is always green, which means that is always green. And the same is true here. So this is always green, and that is always green. So if that was 6, it would have a neighbour. Oh, bit defender, go away. I better just hang on. Let me just check that's not messed up now. The recording seems fine. But do you know? Do you get software that pops up overriding anything you're doing? It really annoys me. There, grumpy Simon. That's not done. So one of these is green. This is. I bet there's a way I'm meant to know what colour these are. Now, how do we do that? We know they're both the same colour. Maybe they can't both be green. Let's have a look at that. If they're both green, you'd have to have a 1 next to the 5. So yeah, that's it's very forcing, isn't it? Because if these were both green, whichever side was the 5 would be penned in effectively. It would become a cul-de-sac because it could only have one green neighbour. So imagine this was the 5. Both of those would be purple. And then these would have to be green to get the thing out. And you get sort of a spanner shape. Now, is there anything wrong with that? We'd have an I pentomino here. An I pentomino of greenliness, but we've seen that that's very possible. In fact, that would imply that it's possible to have a 7 heptomino of greenliness. And one of these would be a 1, so these would be a 6-9 pair. The 6 would have a 2 next to it. The 9, I see, so it would go 9-1-5. Either 9-1-5 there or 9-1-5 there. I can't see what's wrong with that, sorry. Okay, so maybe there's a reason these can't be purple then. If they're purple, I get loads of greens. Oh no, that's still okay. No, that's wrong. Actually, no, it might not be. It might not be wrong. No, it is wrong. Am I going to get checkerboarded? I'm going to get checkerboarded. Oh, that's weird. Why couldn't I see that? It's very straightforward. I don't know, but I don't think this works. For this reason, we know these are the same colour. Let's play out how the yin-yang works down here then. So I'd have to put greens in both of those. And now to avoid checkerboards here, these both become green. But now look, to avoid a checkerboard here, what on earth am I going to do? This cell's unfillable. It wants to not be green because of that checkerboard. But if it's purple, that's a checkerboard. Sorry, this 2x2. This 2x2 means this can't be green, but it also can't be purple. So that's wrong. That's going to be huge. Well, not huge, but so these are green. Because one of them is a 5 and is cul-de-saced, the other one will be as well. So we know that those all become purple. One of these has to be a 1 in the column next to the 5. So these digits become 6 and 9. And then these digits become 1 and 2 because we worked out that 2 went next to the 6. And in the column, therefore, 7 and 8 go at the top. Isn't it? This is absolutely remarkable. And now I get my spanner because these have to get out. So I have to get them out like this. And then those have to be purple to avoid a 2x2. And now I can just copy, it's done. The shading is done. Because everything I've done down there has to get copied up here. Yeah, that's weird. I'm sorry, I'm just pausing there because I'm sort of amazed that it's worked that way, but it does. It's all forced by one of these being a 5 and being cul-de-sacking itself. It's really clever, honestly. Right, so all of those are green, and we've done the shading of the puzzle. So we're now on to the part of the puzzle that's going to involve this galaxy rule. Ah, okay, and I know which way up the 4 and the 5 go. Because of the this one is in green, counting its greens, so that's a 4. This one is in green, so it's counting its purples because it's a red square, so that is a 5. So this is the 1, this is the 9, this is the 6, this is the 2. There we go. So 6 is now placed here. That's in green, so we need to think about that one. 5 in green is horrifically awful. It's useless. Maybe this 6 is what we're meant to look at. But the thing is, the availability of 1 really takes the pressure off. Oh, I know the shading. I can do this one now. That's a 3. Because it's in green. So it's counting its own colour. And that puts a 6 up there. 6 in one of these by Sudoku. 6 and 3 are in a nice relationship, aren't they? This 3 might... 3 could go to a 6 there. But 3's neighbours are 1s, 6s and 9s. And that can't be 6. And if that was a 1, that can't work, can it? If that's a 1, is that impossible? No, I'm not having it. 3-cell sequences with this funny rule are a little bit tricky, unless you can use 1 or the 2-4-8 family. Yeah, I don't think this can be 1, because we've got to find 3 digits there that in a multiplicative relationship. What could we possibly use? We've got 2s and 8s. They're in a relationship with each other. 5s and 7s are absolutely impossible. So they would have to go in the wings. So it would be 2, 8, 9. These digits would be 2, 8, 9, and the 9 wouldn't work. So that is 9. 9 can only go with 1 or 3, which is no good. 6 can go with 2 or 1. Or 3, obviously, but it can't in this instance. So that's a 1 or a 2. That's a 1 or a 3. Oh, I thought I could get the 3 in that box, but I can't. I thought Sudoku was going to come to my rescue. But she didn't want to. Wow. Wow. How does this solve from here? It's crazy. It must be this. Must it? Okay, so let's think this through. This 1 is quite powerful, actually, because this 1 is preventing me from putting 5 or 7 in those positions in the column. And 5 or 7 can't go in the middle of the string because they'd have to be bounded by 1 on both sides. So that's the trick in column 3. Where are 5 and 7? They're going to be in the very wings. And then these digits are going to be 2. These are going to be 1, 2, 8. And this is not a 1. I mean, that's lovely logic, but it's not really helped me. It's really not. 2, 8 here, so this digit, I mean, it can be all sorts of things. 2, 4, it can be 6. It can't be 6 because the 6 is pencil marked elsewhere. 2, 4, 8, I'm going to say. That you've got to be very careful with this rule set, though. It's very easy to miss possibilities. But no, given that 1 isn't available, I'm pretty confident that that is an even digit. Okay. So in this column, what's going on? Because again, you've got 2 runs of 3 greens. Now, and we're not using 6. So the 1, 3, 6, 9 family, we could still be using that. But you could now this is tricky because the 1 provides all sorts of flexibility, doesn't it? Because the 1 could go next to a prime number. Okay, let's think about it the other way around then. What would happen if neither of these strings was 2, 4, 8? Actually, that might do something there. If neither of these strings was 2, 4, 8, then the 1 would have to assist the 2, 4, 8 family to create a 3-cell sequence. So you could have 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 8 or something like that. But then when we were faced with the second task, which would be to create a different 3-cell sequence. So imagine this was 1, 2, 8. And then up here, we've got 5s and 7s, which are now useless because we haven't got 1 available. We've got 3 and 9. They could go together, but they can't be extended because 1 isn't available. It won't work. So one of these sequences, it might not be this one, but is 2, 4, 8. And then the other sequence is going to have 1 in it. That's all I know. But I think there are all sorts of ways of doing it, because you could have 5, 1, and then 1 can go with anything. Providing 1 is in the middle of the sequence, it can go with anything. Now, if this is 2, 4, 8, I was noticing in this row, I think this digit's impossible. Yeah, if this is 2, 4, 8, what do I make this digit? Not the 1 it doesn't care about. Obviously the 1 will be in a perfect relationship. But I need a digit that's going to be in a 2, 4, 8 relationship with it. Now sometimes 6 can help you, but it couldn't here. So I don't think there's any option. I mean, if we go through all of the let's label it up. Let's be diligent. And we can go 3, 5, 7, 9. Now one of these has to be in a multiplicative relationship with 2, 4, 8. Just doesn't work, does it? So the 2, 4, 8 is that one. And that isn't 4. And that isn't 2. Oh dear. That one? It can't be 6. So I'm going to say 1, 2, or 8. Feels right. Can't be 4. Can't be 6. I think that feels right. Now down here, we need a 1. But the 1 is... Okay, so the 1 can't be in the middle of this sequence. So I now think that there are no primes in this sequence. No 5 and no 7. Because if I did put 5 or 7 in, let's see how that might work. We could do that, but then obviously the other side of this, we're going to have a big problem. If we'd been able to put the 1 there, we could have had a 5 there and a 7 there. We could have done all sorts of things. But that's not going to work. So we can just, this is gorgeous. So we can just put this in. Where's the 5 in the column then? It's got to be there. That's got to be the 7. This 5 is doing Sudoku things. 7, 8, 7, 5. Come on. 5 in this box. Can't be there next to a 2, can it? So 5 is placed in box 3. Oh, 5 is placed in box... Actually, I can nearly get them all. I can't quite get the ones that are in purple. They aren't subject to any problem. Now these are 1, 3, 9, and that isn't a 1. And that isn't a 9. Obviously, it can be in a relationship with 6, especially if it's a 1. But it could also be a 3. 3, 9, 1. If that was... Oh no, it's all fine, actually. It's all absolutely fine. Oh dear. Goodness me. I've almost pencil marked in as well every single green cell, which is slightly terrifying. I mean, this digit has to be in a relationship with 3 or 9. Now, if this is 9, then this has to be 3, doesn't it? Because it can't be 1. And if this is 3, this has to be 9 again. Because it can't be 1 and it can't be 6. So that is a 3-9 pair. So in the row, 7 is a bit restricted. So that gives me a 6-7. School children everywhere rejoice. That is apparently a 6-7 pairing. Ah, that can't be 8, look. So this is 2. 2 or 4 doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But oh, where's 3 in this box? That does matter. It's got to go there. So that's 3, that's 9. Now. No, it's not good enough. 3 is up there. This is a 1-3 pair now. So this, it doesn't, it's not good enough. It's not done enough. It's not done enough damage. Goodness, right. So these digits are from 2, 4, 6. Ah, no, they aren't. 6 is in one of those. They're from 2, 4, 9. Bother. 2, 4, 9. So one of these is a 1. It would be really useful if it was there, look. That would get me this digit, all sorts of digits would suddenly fly into the puzzle. Wow. Goodness me. It's extraordinary. I mean, how on earth have you found this grid? This grid, I think, is a really strange grid. That's I mean, Marty's always very kind and puts a comment on the videos when I do manage to solve the puzzles and sort of reveals how they were set. I'm going to be very intrigued if I can get through this to hear Marty's thoughts on this one. How do we do this then? That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. Is it going to be... I don't know. 2, 8, 1. All right. That is... I mean, this is a brutal point. I don't think that can be a 3. But, and the reason I say that is if this is a 3, this digit is a 1. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yeah, in fact, that's very obvious. Hang on, that was not how I got that before. Yeah, that's much easier. Much easier than... Gosh, I was going down here to this digit. If that's a 3, this can't be 2 or 8. So it has to be 1, and then that digit's just broken, isn't it? So that's actually relatively straightforward. So that is a 3. Oh, nearly. And I need a 7 in this spot. Oh, a 7 in that. Oh, no. I was going to say it can't possibly go there, but if that's a 1, it probably can. Okay, so 7 is in one of these two cells. Goodness, okay. So that's not done enough. If this was a 3, this would be a 1. A 1-3 pair here. Oh, it must be Sudoku. Sudoku is always what I look at the least. And it can sometimes be helpful. What's that digit? It can't be 6, can it? Because then this digit's got a problem. So that is not a 6. So this is a 6. There's a win for the goodies. So that's a 6, that's a 7, that's a 7. Let's double click our 6s. Oh, we've got them all. We've got all the 6s. We have not got all the 7s. No, we really haven't. Okay, and this digit, it could be a 1, of course. 1 or 8, I'm going to claim. So it's got to be in a sensible relationship with this one. Now, does this 1 or 8 do anything? Don't think it does. The ordering of a 2, 4, 8 triple in the greens, I think they all go with each other, so you really can't tell anything about them. Nine. Oh, 9. Yeah, I can do 9 in row 5. That's been available forever. Let's hope that goes somewhere. So in row 5, what do we need? 1, 2, 8 into these, into these cells. Let's pop that in and hope that does something. What about these? No, or those? No, nearly, but not quite. Or row... In row 4, we need 1, 2, 4, and 8. Again, I'm going to pencil mark it just because I don't know what else to do. But literally, look at this branch here. Any digit works across there. They all work together. If that's a 3, that is a 1. That would be useful. But if that's a 1, that can be anything. So that one really wouldn't be useful. Can that be a 4? Yes, that's a shame. Goodness, it's extraordinary that this... Oh, there's a 1, 2, 8 triple I've just seen in row 2. So everything else is sort of odd digits from 3, 5, 7, and 9. Can we do anything with that? So these digits are from 3, 5, 7, 9. This can't be 5 or 9. That's 3 or 7 only. Those ones are 3, 5, or 9 only. And this one can't be 3 or 5, so that is 7 or 9. Does this help? The thing is, the purple digits, unless I suddenly alight on one that's going to be Sudokuable, I'm not sure they're going to do very much. 3, no, 3 is a bit restricted in box 9. These are 1, 2, 8, 2, 4. Can we do anything there? The thing is, the availability of 1 is just horrendous. It removes all semblance of difficulty from filling in the digits. In the bottom row, 1, 2, 4, 9 is what we need. So this digit is 1, 2, or 4. Whoopsie. It can't be 9. Is there some way to limit? This is bizarre. I mean, how do you solve this? What have I forgotten a rule? That's very possible. Although I don't think it's terribly likely, because I've sort of used all of the circles. Is there a circle where I haven't, or a square where I haven't used the implications of the... here's something. See this 1, 2, 8 triple? The 8 in that is in these two cells, so that becomes a 4. That might do something. It gives me a 2, 8 pair. 4 is in one of two cells in box 1. I think it's going to do nothing. Oh no! It can go with 1 or 8. It can go with 2 or 8 on either side of it. There is an 8 in this domino. Bobbins. That was nearly good, but it didn't do anything. This is 1. That's 3. That's 1. Oh, okay. That's valid then, isn't it? There is a 1 in that domino. Because either this is a 3, and the only cell that can go there is only digit that could work there is a 1, because 6 and 9 are unavailable, or this is just a 1 on its own. So that is going to put this cell as not a 1. So that gives me a 2, 8 pair. Of course, that's no use here, but, although it is, because that 1 means this is a 3, which means this is a 1. Okay, so that has resolved itself very, very amenably. But what about 3s now? See, this 1 has taken all the pressure off here. This digit might have to be a 4. It's got to be in a good relationship with a 2 or a 6. Sorry, a 2 or an 8, and it can't be a 6, and it can't be a 2 or an 8 or a 1. So this is a 4. So that's a 4 in the corner at the top of the grid. And in the box, what do we need? We can put 1 in, and we can put 9 in, I think. And this 1, that 1 is useful. That gets me a 2. That is very useful. So that gives me an 8 here, which gives me a 2 here, and a 1 here. So this now cannot be 1 or 2. It sees both. Where is 1? Yeah, where's 1 in box 6 by Sudoku? It's there. It's got to be there. How many 1s have I got? I'd like more. I can get more. That's a 1. So this is an 8. 1 is in one of 2 places in box 2. Come on. Right, 4. This is a 4-8 pair in box 6. But that's the first moment recently in the puzzle where I've suddenly managed to do things with a bit more alacrity. That's not a 2 by Sudoku. So this is 4 or 8. Is it going to get us as far as it needs to? It needs to get us a lot further. Right, this is 7 or 8 by Sudoku. That's 7 or 9 by Sudoku. That's 8 or 9 by Sudoku. There's a 7, 8, 9 triple. Oh, where's 8? Is that really true? Yeah, where's 8 in the top box? It's got to go there. So that's 7, that's 9. That's lovely. Now, I haven't put 7 into that row. So that's 7, that's 3, that's 2. Feels right. That's 7 by Sudoku. All your 7s belong to us. This is presumably a 2-8 pair. The Sudoku looks right, doesn't it? But it's not resolved, or if it is, I don't see why. This digit can't be 3 anymore, so that's 3, and obviously that's fine in a relationship with a 1. That digit's now got to be an 8, because it can't be a 4. So this is a 4, that's an 8, that's a 2. This is a 2-4 pair in this box. So that's an 8. So that's a 4. It's bizarre that this is still going. I keep expecting it to suddenly stop and find I've got a deadly pattern, but it's still going at the moment. It is absolutely bizarre. I've done all my greens, I think. So it definitely ought to just be Sudoku from here. Please. Right, these are not 3s. So that gives me a 5-9 pair there. Which means these are a 1-3 pair, and that looks like it might be resolved by this little 3. So 3, 1, 2, 2, 8, 1. What are those then? 5 and 8. That's good if they are. Yeah. 8, 5. 5, 9, 9, 4. That is absolutely crazy. Honestly. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, it had to be right, didn't it? How on earth have you found that grid? That is absolutely mad. Quite mad that that exists. I mean, I'm often, certainly in the early days of the channel, I was astonished by what you could come up with from a sort of miracle Sudoku standpoint. But this is in a way even more weird to me that this can work. That can be disambiguated. It was hardly any clues. There was a point when I'd solved a lot of the circles and the squares, and even had maybe all of the shading done. But the sort of multiplicative relationship is enough to disambiguate the whole grid is bizarre. It's just bizarre. Marty again, making galaxies collide in my brain. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.